Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to everybody. Thank you for bearing with us. We're a little bit later starting than we anticipated, but thank goodness it's a fine afternoon and we're all gathered here for a very special event. Council Chair, Reverend Father, elected representatives, members of Newry Maritime Association, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris Spur and I am the chairman of the Ulster History Circle. And I'd like to welcome you all very much to this afternoon's plaque unveiling for Captain Harry Hollywood. And I must remark in passing that we're surrounded by a building site of sorts here, but even though it's encroaching somewhat on the proceedings, I don't think it will affect them unduly. Anyhow, to start off the commemoration in fine style, we've had the Camelot Brass and Reed Band. Amongst the songs and hymns that they've been playing, they played one which had its own link to our Ulster coasts. We're told that in the 1740s, by surviving a storm in the Atlantic and landing safe in County Donegal, this turned John Newton from being a rough, hard-living sea captain into a man of God, and it gave him the inspiration for the song that we now know as Amazing Grace. And that is one of the tunes there that the band played so very well, and we'll have more from them shortly. This is the latest of our Ulster History Circle blue plaques, and it's the third plaque put up in association with the Newry Maritime Association. In December 2013, we erected 2 plaques to the Newry-born George Cross heroes, Max Blaney and Raymond Kelly. And today, we're putting up a plaque to Captain Harry Hollywood, someone who spent a lifetime sailing from Newry. He's an iconic figure who epitomises the dedicated seamen from this port. The Ulster History Circle is delighted to honour this long-serving master mariner with this blue plaque, placed here at Victoria Lock, through which he passed countless times. The Circle would particularly like to thank the Newry Maritime Association for their financial support towards the plaque. Since the early 1980s, the Ulster History Circle has put up over 190 blue plaques across the 9 counties of Ulster to celebrate the achievements of those men and women who contributed significantly to our history locally, nationally and internationally. We're an entirely voluntary organisation and we rely on the support of local authorities, individuals, organisations and businesses to fund our plaques. There's no such similar organisation doing what we do anywhere throughout this whole island. The Newry Maritime Association is a body dedicated to celebrating the rich heritage of this historic port. And now I'd like to invite to address us the Association's chairman, Michael O'Hare, someone who, like Harry Hollywood, is a fathom man. Michael.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's lovely to see so many people here today, and I'm sure that Harry Hollywood himself, along with these other captains, is smiling down on us to keep the rain away, because this can be a very, very bleak place when it rains. I would like to, as chairman of Newry Maritime Association, extend my thanks to the Ulster History Circle for the achievement of this great award, which is really a very, very special award to all of the people, not only to Harry Hollywood, but to all of the captains who sailed and all of the sailors and the people who worked in the port of Newry. It's, a great achievement to get this and to have this in this historical part, because this really, where we are today, is hallowed ground as far as the maritime fraternity is concerned. And as I say, like to thank the Ulster History Circle for it, but I would also like to extend my thanks to one particular person who we've worked very closely with and really deserves great credit for her dedication and single-mindedness in forwarding these projects. Ladies and gentlemen, if you put your hands together, please, for Maud Hamill, please. Now, I'm not going to bore you too long with long speeches or anything like that, because there are other people in that who would like to say a few words on that. But I have a little piece that I had written a number of years ago And it wasn't specific for this occasion, but I do think that it's relevant to the occasion today. And if you will bear with me, I would like to say it to you. It's a little piece I called From Albert to Victoria, and it's basically a short poem and that, but it encapsulates really the history of this area. So if you will bear with me, I will read this to you. Wooden ships, courageous men, iron ships and fathom men, Newry crews, dockers too, hard-working men through and through. Now Albert's garden fed so many at a time now long gone past, so let's not forget their passing and the history that will last. The many homes in Fathom and the streets of Newry too will remember with the sadness the loss of local crew. Be it storm or war or weather, or a fog so dense and thick, the end that these brave men endured, some lonely and some quick. The fisher fleet of colliers were named all after trees, and shipped the coal that made the steam that turned the wheels of steel. The factories and the foundries, steam engines for the mills, and the gates that graced the house of God on so many windswept hills. The impatient clatter of a well-shod horse at a quay of cobblestone, to a mother with the shovel of slack to warm her chilly home. For heating schools and churches the gasworks had the thing, but it never would have happened because coal was still the king. The fisher name is famous in Newry's trade in coal. From brick to 1,000 tons in ships many dangers would unfold. Rest from the ground in deep dark mines across the Irish Sea, unto our hearths to keep us warm it had to cross that sea. When Victoria's arms were opened wide and the salt air chilled her face, her children riding higher now as if eager for the race. The silent thoughts of every man were worn upon his face, for many would never return again to the sanctuary of this place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Michael, for that wonderful poem, which, of course, Michael also read on Radio Ulster this morning on the Your Place in Mind programme, if anybody was listening to that, as I'm sure you all were. Now, the Newry Maritime Association as a body has supported today's plaque, but two other names in particular deserve thanks, and they are James McAreevy and Colm Curran. Also to thank is Master Blacksmith Michael Mallon, who has crafted the magnificent replica lamp post on which Harry Hollywood's plaque is placed. The usual policy is for the Ulster History Circle to put our plaques on a building which has a direct association with the person being commemorated. The fact that no such building was available for Harry Hollywood's plaque didn't deter James and his colleagues. In a great example of the can-do attitude that we associate with Newry, the message was given to our Circle colleague, Maud Hamill, that there would be a special post put up to carry the plaque. So I need to tell you all that this is a very first for the Circle. That one of our plaques has never before had the distinction of having its own bespoke post. Also, as Michael has done, I must at this point thank Maud for all the liaison work that she's done with regard to this plaque. Maud is a person with a great love of Newry and its history, and her hard work is well rewarded today. A few months ago, we were in Newton Hamilton, unveiling the plaque to Cardinal John Murphy Farley, and we were delighted then to welcome the inaugural chairperson of the new Newry Mourne and Down District Council. Today, Councillor Naomi Bailey is with us once more, so as well as thanking her for her continuing support, I'd like to invite the chairperson now to say a few words.
And ladies and gentlemen, before I do begin, I should start by offering my sincerest apologies for having you all wait behind for me, and I think you were duly and very appropriately kept entertained by the band here behind me, so a round of applause for the band, please. Accordia, Mr. Chairman, distinguished guests, ministers, ladies and gentlemen, it's my greatest of pleasure to be here this afternoon with you. I'm pleased to be here to signal the recognition for a local seafarer, Captain Harry Hollywood, who lived nearby. Events such as this are very important as they foster civic pride and identity, and most importantly, they give prominence to people who are not only deserving, but some sadly have sometimes been forgotten. The Ulster History Circle are to be commended for their Blue Plaque Award programme. Working in association with a host of groups, they recognise the achievements of individuals who've made outstanding contributions right across our communities. I'm aware that Newry has a very long and proud maritime tradition, and this is fully exemplified today as we pay tribute to the unequalled role of Captain Hollywood and the role that he played in the port story. This is the first official event hosted by Newry Maritime Association that I've had the privilege to have attended in my role as chairperson of the new council, but I am familiar with their commitment to the preservation and the history of the port story in Newry and those who created it. And indeed, I hope to work very closely alongside them in the coming months, and I'm sure our paths will cross once again. As part of the voluntary sector, the Maritime Association are an important role in the local community. Recently, I was very privileged to have attended the Community Volunteering Awards night held in Canal Court, where almost 480 local community activists were gathered, demonstrating the huge contribution that local community and voluntary organisations play in our community. The collaborative efforts of Newry Maritime Association and the Ulster History Circle in hosting this prestigious event today is evidence of that very positive input to our community from the voluntary sector. I wish to thank Newry Maritime Association and the Ulster History Circle for inviting me to be part of this important community event here in the townland of Fathom, where Captain Harry Hollywood is receiving the formal recognition he so richly deserves. I would encourage you all to keep up your very good, hard work, and I look forward to attending many more of your events, I'm sure, in the time ahead. Thank you once again, and please enjoy the afternoon.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. And we're also very pleased today to welcome Danny Kennedy, MLA, Minister for Regional Development. And I'd like to now ask the Minister to say a few words. Danny, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Chairperson of Council, public representatives past and present, because there are a number, I think, of both. It's an enormous pleasure for me to be invited here today. Thank you so much for the invitation and for the very lovely event that it truly is. We very much enjoyed, or I very much enjoyed, playing with Camilla Brass and Reed Band. I want to thank them for that opportunity. I did warn them before I took the stick to help play the big drum that we were still in the month of July. But they were sufficiently confident that I wouldn't, that they'd only given me one stick and that I would behave myself. But it's very nice to be here, and I want to pay tribute to Tom McCabe and everyone associated with Camilla Brass and Reed Band. They really are a community band that represents everything that's best from this Newry and Mourne area, and particularly the area of Camilla and Bestwick. So please show your appreciation again. This is a very interesting and almost unique event in terms of maritime history. And frankly, it wouldn't be brought to our attention without the very excellent work that is undertaken by Newry Maritime Association. And I think we all owe a special debt to the members of that association and those who are actively involved in it, and without signalling out individuals, which is always invidious to do, but certainly James McAreevy and Michael O'Hare have played a very significant role in the leadership of this, and I think that should be reflected today as we gather at this important event. So again, show your appreciation. I have to say that I was awakened early this morning, not only to hear the 8 o'clock news, but to hear the programme on Radio Ulster, Your Place and Mine, which follows immediately after. Anne-Marie McAleese. And of course, we had an excellent contribution there from Michael, where he shared at least part, if not all of his poem, and also from Maud Hamill. And that brings me very neatly to the contribution, the huge contribution that is being made to Northern Ireland and to Ulster, the counties of Ulster generally, in terms of the Ulster History Circle. And they honour the memory of those who, either through stage or screen, or artists, or those in public life, or indeed, in this case, someone who made a huge contribution in terms of the maritime history of this part of the world. So congratulations and thank you to the Chair and the members of the Ulster History Circle for all the work that they do. And it is a very impressive organisation that is not dependent on government funding, but rather seeks out other sources. So I would say that, being from the government, of course. But anyway, congratulations and thank you for your ongoing work. Finally, and hopefully briefly, we do want to pay tribute and honour to the man that we honour today and his colleagues, Harry Hollywood. And I think the history of maritime in this area is quite unique. It is very important that it is properly remembered and reflected upon, and I think we're doing that in part today. And I simply want to say, in the words of the old Hollywood song, hooray for Hollywood, because he has indeed made a significant contribution to marine life and maritime life, and we're truly honouring him and his colleagues and his family here today. Thank you very much indeed for that opportunity.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you very much. Like many ports throughout our island, Newry has its history of emigration. For many, life in a new land proved a better lot than here at home. But for some, the life in the new land was their sorrow. The sad song of emigration, Noreen Bourne, composed in Creeslough, is another musical link with Donegal, and the Camlock Brass and Reed Band are to play it now. Then Father Pat Tumulty of St. Catherine's Dominican Priory will offer an intercession for seafarers. So now, Father Pat Tumilty with an intercession for seafarers. Thank you.
Litany of intercession for seafarers. This is particularly dedicated to all those seamen committed to the work of the earth, for the world's harvest, for the fruits of land and sea, for the creativity of different nations and cultures, and for the seafarers who convey them to our ports, for the courageous steadfastness and devotion of all who serve at sea, and for skills of seamanship, engineering and navigation, for the work of all those who build and equip our ships, and provide for their safety, and for those who tend to the needs of seafarers, for those who serve in the navies of the world, for merchant seafarers, and for those of the fishing fleet, for seafarers who are far from home and loved ones, who know the pain of isolation, anxiety and fear, and who long for help and support, for those who carry out the service of docks and harbours, who crew lifeboats, and who day and night watch over our coasts. For all young people who study the skills of the sea, and for the pupils and staff of seafaring schools and colleges, for the ship owners, agents and union representatives, and the associations which care for seafarers and their families. Also for the families of seafarers who face loneliness and anxiety about loved ones at sea. Bless, O Lord, all who sail upon the seas, and all who care for their well-being.
Thank you, Father Pat. We're now about to have the plaque unveiling, and then afterwards, in the Granby Hotel in Omeath, James McAreevy will tell us more about the life and times of Captain Harry Hollywood. This plaque is indeed a tribute to his long years of seagoing, but in a way it's also a tribute to the hundreds of sailors who came from this port. We're delighted that with us here today is Eddie Quinn, 91 years of age, and someone who knew Captain Hollywood personally. And the honour of unveiling this plaque to the celebrated Master Mariner now goes to Mr. Eddie Quinn. Thank you very much, and we'll have the chance for a few photographs shortly. But now it's the time to lay a few formal floral tributes, and with us here is Mr. Adam Fisher, the 5th generation of the Fisher family, and I think he and Paddy McCann are to lay the Fisher House flag, and Owen McDonald will lay the tribute on behalf of the Neary Maritime Association. And then the Camlock Brass and Reed Band will play very appropriately. We'll meet again. Thank you. And now we'll probably take the chance now to take the movie.
We're here now, as you can see, in the Grandview Hotel in Omeath. We have relocated from South Armagh to North Louth, and we've changed provinces from Ulster to Leinster, and we're on the southern shores of Carlingford Lough with Warren Point, the port of Warren Point, and the Ruru ferry across from us here. A real panoramic view of Carlingford Lough. And certainly from the era of Harry Hollywood, things have progressed immeasurably. And the baton was passed on to Warren Point in March 1974 when the Port of Newry closed.
bringing down the curtain on 232 years of trading with the Newry Canal. Now, where we were at Victoria Lock in Fodham, and you see the pop-up that we have here at the back of Victoria Lock, Fodham, County Armagh, that's the entrance to and the exit from the Newry Canal system, which ran all the way to Portadown. When the lock, or when the canal closed, as I say, all business was then transferred to the port of Warrenpoint, and last year was the 40th anniversary of the opening of the new port of Warrenpoint, and it was celebrated with record figures. They had record turnover last year and record profits in the port. Now, when Harry Hollywood, when he was at sea, he was, as you know, from the townland of Fodham, which was synonymous with seafaring. Fodham is a townland nowadays in the Ring of Gullion. It's in an area of outstanding natural beauty, but apart from that, there's very little to sustain people. And that didn't change. The geographical factors haven't changed in Fodham in the last 200 years. So there was nothing to sustain people except go to the town, get a job in the port, or get a job at sea. And the man who did the unveiling today, Eddie Quinn, he's not mind me telling you, he's 91 years of age now and knew Harry Hollywood personally. And Eddie remembers a time when there were 9 Captain Hollywoods at sea at the one time, all Fodham men. Today there isn't one seaman left. There's only one working seaman in Newry, Morty Duffy, and he'll be retiring shortly. He works for P&O Ferries. And that song changed to when Fishers employed almost 200 seamen, one company alone. The Newry Canal was built started in 3 phases. 1742, the original canal was built from Newry to Portadown. The first stage of the ship canal was built in 1769 from Newry down to where the oil tanks were at Fodham, and the last section was built from 1842 to 1850 through the famine years. And Sir John Rennie built the last section, built the Victoria Lock, built the Albert Basin, and deepened the channel at Narrawater. And that was all done and opened in April 1850. In May 1867, Patrick Hollywood married Mary Ann O'Neill in Clog Chapel, and that was a union that produced 5 children, 2 boys and 3 girls. The second son was Henry Hollywood, a man who came to be known as Wee Harry because he never passed 5 foot tall. And his father was a seaman, and Harry and his brother went to sea as well. His brother worked for the City of Limerick Steamship Company, and he died of heart failure on a voyage from Spain to Middlesbrough back in 1919. At that time, Harry Hollywood was captain of the SS Alder, which sank here in Charlingford Lock in April 1937 after being run down in fog, and Captain Campbell, his wife, and 4 crewmen were drowned. And at that stage, Harry was Commodore of the fleet. The fleet then was 17 ships, and Fishers were one of the biggest coal importers and ship owners on the island of Ireland. The firm had been started in 1852 by Joseph Fisher, a young Presbyterian lad from Ballymartin outside Kilkeel, and he came to Newry seeking employment and got a job as a ship's apprentice agent's apprentice with Moore & Woody's, and in 1852 he started business on his own account. For the next 49 years, Joseph Fisher ran the firm to 1901, and he was succeeded by his son Frank, who ran the business to 1951. When he died, his son Jim took over, and when he died, the current Mr. Fisher, John Fisher, was the 4th generation to run the firm which was sold to Caywoods in 1966. Adam Fisher, who is with us today, is the 5th generation of the firm, but never worked for the firm. But what marks Harry Hollywood down again is that he worked for 3 generations of Fishers. Joseph, the founder, because Harry went to sea in 1890 when he was 14, and for 63 years that man ploughed the waves till he was 77. He retired in 1953 and he died in 1954, aged 78. Ironically, with heart failure like his brother back in 1919. But Harry worked for Joseph Fisher, he worked for Frank Fisher, and he worked for Jim Fisher, and he saw young John Fisher coming into the firm. And John Fisher talks about in 1953 Fishers got their second motor vessel, the Oak, and they brought it into Warren Point from after it was launched in Scots of Bowling in Glasgow. They loaded coal in there and they came to Warren Point. And the reason they came to Warren Point was to load her to the maximum to see what she was capable of carrying. And they thought maybe that if she was that bit heavier, she wouldn't come up the Newry Canal. So Harry had just retired about 8 or 9 months, and there was a Captain Kate McKee was the man in charge, and he took her into Warren Point. But John Fisher talks about the second trip, and she was coming from Garston, and his father Jim told him to go down to Hawthorne Cottage on the Tottenham Line and tell Harry Hollywood that the Oak was coming up the canal. And John went down and he said he well remembers Harry sitting outside the front of the house, and when the Oak came up, Captain McKee blew the horn. The crew came out on the deck and saluted, and Harry waved to them. And some months later he was dead. But it's a different era. When Harry was there, there was a railway line from Newry to Greenover. There was a ferry service from Greenover to Holyhead. We had a train service from Warren Point into Newry, linking us to Belfast. And that's all gone. We had a fleet of small ferries here in Warren Point, the Red Star Ferry, and it's well documented that on Sundays there could be crowds of up to 15,000 people in this village of Omeath. So today was a throwback to a different era, and with Mr. Quinn certainly that is exemplified as a direct cameo and a window into that past. Now I told you about the seamen in Fathom, and Eddie had a brother, Faley, who was a seaman, and he ended up in England working on the Manchester Ship Canal, and he died over there and he's buried in Cheshire. But Eddie has a poem, and he was born up there on Fathom Mountain, on the side of the slopes of the mountain, on a place called the Rock. An inhospitable place again, and the man who lived across the road from him was a man called Tom McArdle. Tom was drowned on the Walnut when it went down on the 27th of October 1941. It was a very bleak period during the war. On the 5th of December 1940, the Privet was lost, disappeared in the Irish Sea. We have Mrs. Carr and our daughters Helena and Brady here today, and Jimmy Carr was lost along with the rest of the crew. There's never been any direct evidence as to what happened. The ship disappeared. And 10 months later, on the 27th of October, the Walnut, our sister ship, disappeared in similar circumstances, and 9 men were lost again. That was 18 men in 10 months. 6 of them came from the Fathom area, and the captain of the Walnut was a man called Paddy O'Neill. His father was the lockmaster up there for 50 years, from 1901 to 1951. And those 18 men were lost, never found. There's still no record, definitive record, of where those ships are lying. And then in January 1942, Fisher's first motor vessel, the Carry, struck a mine in the Mersey, and the man James Brennan from Carlingford was killed, and the ship was very badly damaged. But after 6 months she was repaired, refloated, and fishers kept her until 1957. So quite a bit of history. We're trying to do what we can with limited resources to keep it alive. Thank you very much for your support today. We'd like to thank the Camla Band, who always, Tom and the crew, always support us very well and turn out. Thanks to our seamen, to Paddy McCann, to Oni MacDonald for laying the reeds, to Chris Square and the team today for coming along to unveil plaque number 192 for Captain Hollywood. Tremendous accolade for him today. And I see Peter Jackson, Peter waving at me here too. Peter's here as well. So Eddie has a poem, and Eddie, I would like you to say your poem about the townland of Adam, and we'll conclude with that.
Yeah, nice. Right now. Listen carefully. As I sit here sadly thinking how the years go swiftly by, my thoughts go back to my childhood days when I was but a lad. We, a happy family, gathered round our turf fire bright, and the fairy tales and fairy told on those cold dark winter nights. My brother Warren is married now, with family of his own. My sisters emigrated to England or Spain, the new Adelaide home. They pay a visit now and then to greet us one and all. So the thoughts go back to the childhood days in the dear old Fadham home. Fadham home lies empty now, no darklings on the wall. The old rocking chair's no longer there, with no key in the door. With the roaring seas and the winter winds and the seagull's weary cry, no fire burns bright in our home tonight as it is in years gone by. So farewell to my Fadham home, where I spent many happy years with my horses and my plough, Dolly and Nellie, mother and daughter. And farewell to my friends so dear, who has crossed the ocean waves. May God protect and bless you all, wherever you may roam. But Fadham was like heaven to us in our dear old Irish home.
Wasn't that a fantastic poem? Well done, Eddie. And thank you on behalf of the Ulster History Circle to you all for coming along this afternoon for what has turned out to be yet another very special event in the history of the History Circle and of course in the history of the Newry Maritime Association. And again we must thank James, Michael and the other members of the Maritime Association for an extremely well run and wonderfully organised event. And now there is that very special plaque on that very special lamppost style there at the Victoria Lock. And it's a fantastic achievement today and a fantastic reminder for everybody who goes by on that busy road between Meath here and Newry City. And the name of Harry Hollywood will now continue to be known, I'm sure, because of the plaque that we've all joined in putting up today. Thank you once again, everybody. Thank you.
We have a presentation here for a very special lady who has been involved, as Chris said earlier, right from the initiation of this project for Harry Hollywood. And that lady is, of course, Maud Hamill. And Maud, as I say, has been the liaison officer on this project, and we thought it only right to mark the contribution which she made. And we have one of our special black slate presentation plaques, and I'll just read you the text. Newry Maritime Association Special Achievement Award presented to Maud Hamill in recognition of her sterling contribution to the project, awarding a blue plaque to Captain Harry Hollywood MBE by the Ulster History Circle, 25th of July 2015. So Maud, would you like to come up and get your plaque from Megan?
include flabbergasted because literally I only represent 12 people who live on the time in the circle. But this gives me an opportunity to thank you and if everyone was like yourselves, we would have an easier life sometimes doing cracks, and it's an absolute pleasure once again to work alongside you. I felt I've lived with this man now for quite many, many months. I literally have, yes, and my late mother who died recently at 102, she was from a native family from the sea, and she was pleased that we were going to be doing something for sea captain, and I'm just absolutely flabbergasted. But can I also say to you, the Maritime Association, and I said this morning on the radio, are to be admired for what they do in keeping the history of Newry alive. If there was a lot more ports around the province, there are very few maritime places. Belfast is jumped on the bandwagon. And I know how hard it is for both you and for the team to get finances to do but what you do, you do well. And I must say that Mimi, your work is exceptional. It's a rare trade. It's like Gladstone wine. That is Chris, Lorraine, those who are here today, and it's an absolute pleasure. And I hope that someday in Australia we will work alongside you again. Okay, and I wish you, the Maritime Association, all the best. And it was a great turnout today, so absolutely fantastic. I'm good. But this is actually for the circle. Picture, but no, and this is maybe it's a shirt. No, it's not. But no, thank you.